Hey, what's up, my brother? So today we're going to be doing something just kind of fun. Some of you guys may already know about this, but if you don't and you're wanting to kind of customize one of your cheaper knives, this is a short video on how to do that. We're going to be using the Evo tracker, and we're going to make it look something similar to this other Amazon tracker that I picked up. It was originally kind of that chrome polish look, and then I customized this tracker knife with some grip tape, and I actually had hollow rivets in it, so I was able to wrap some snare wire around there and use this kind of as my survival knife, kind of my custom little build survival knife. And as you can see, the gun glue does wear after time, but it gives it a really cool finish and just a different look all around. And it does also help prevent, some rust a little bit, okay? Some oxidation, if you will. And all we're going to really be using is this PermaBlue True Oil, okay? This is just a gun kit. You're not going to be using any of the wood stains unless you have a wood handle. Then you'll be sanding your handle and you can use that. But what you are going to be using is the glue and rust remover, if it does have any previous finishes on there or any oxidation, and then a cleaner and degreaser, and that's really important, just like painting, getting the grease off of it, getting any oily fingerprints off of it so the blue will stick properly. And then lastly, we're going to be using that super glue. So step one is actually going to be using a fine sand paper, a fine grit sandpaper, or steel wool to bust any kind of rust or oxidation. And I actually just got done doing this step and I had to redo my videos because my bluing is actually corrosive and had been destroyed. So I had to go buy another bottle of it. So first step, you're gonna sand and remove any kind of patina that's on it. You're gonna also remove any oxidation. And after you do your major sanding in steel wool, that is when the blue and rust remover comes in. All right, that's the first step. You're gonna take this out of the bottle. And guys, this does smell bad. So either turn a fan on, put it outside and do it if you can. You don't have to do it in your living room like I am. And you're going to just apply a thin coat of it. It comes on a little swab like this. I'll go ahead and open it up and show you. And all you're gonna do is just wash it all over the blade, okay? And we'll just go ahead and go through it. You know what? We already made it this far. We already busted it off. You got something just to be resand it. But you're gonna take your bluing and oxidation remover. And you're just gonna wipe the blade down. And again, it does smell kind of bad. You don't have to leave it on for an extended period of time or anything. You can just rub it like this, all right? And if you do have a lot of oxidation on there, then maybe you want to let it sit for a few minutes. But again, I've primarily busted all of mine off and now it's good to go. So now I've completed all of that. I'm going to simply dip it in my water over here, get that good and washed off. We don't want that. Now, all right, this next part is going to be important. After our oxidation is gone, we're now going to use the cleaner and the degreaser. And why you want to use this step second is because you want to get off any of that bluing remover, all right? If any of that's left on there or any kind of fingerprint grease, if you accidentally touch your blade, you really should be using gloves. I'm not right now at the moment. I'll probably go put them on in a second if I have a set laying around somewhere. I just kind of started on this to show you guys. So now I'm going to use the degreaser. And again, you could just simply dunk this in the water. It doesn't have to sit on there for an extended period of time. It is literally there just to kind of purify the blade, if you will, right? Just to sterilize it in a sense. All right, so now we're ready for the bluing. And my last one, guys, this stuff will corrode over time. So I don't know if you're gonna be able to store this bottle very long once you open it. If you leave stuff inside it, like the little metal swab thingy, it will turn into just a pile of rust, okay? So I had to go interrupt my last video and go buy a new one, and then I come to find out that this one didn't come with a swab. So what I've done is I've gone and I've grabbed a couple of cotton swabs, and we're gonna try out these cotton swabs. And if not, you can always pour the blue right directly onto the blade and stain it that way too, okay? But for now, we're gonna try just these old cotton swabs and get it done. You guys can see almost instantaneously how that blade is darkening, right? So you wanna kind of do it quick-ish, all right? You don't have to leave this application on here for a long time. It really just needs to stay on there for a few seconds. And you guys are probably gonna have to do a couple of different coats to get it right. Okay, so we're gonna leave it on there for a few seconds. And you'll kind of see some light parts here on mine that aren't necessarily going all the way. And that could have been areas that I did not sand properly and all the way through. All right, so we're just kind of, so now you can see here's a chrome side and it's finally starting to blue over here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my Q-tips. I'm gonna quickly swab the other side. Now, one thing to note, this is important. I switched out my water. You guys saw me using the degreaser earlier, and then I dipped my knife into that. Make sure you change the water before putting your gun blue in here, because we're gonna have to wash this off. Really, you only want this in here about 15 seconds, and I'm going overboard, but I'm trying to cover it because I kind of got messed out of my my swab, but that's okay. So now you guys can see this really beautiful blade, and all I gotta do, it's been on there a few seconds, boom. All right, now it's in the water. I don't have to scrub it. I don't have to rub it. I just want to get the excess blue off, okay? All right, so we've got our first layer on there. And as you can see, it's making kind of a really cool patina on there. It's not as chrome. So I have a rag here, and I'm not going to scrub the blade. I'm just going to dab it like this. All right, to dry it off. I don't want to rub that fresh blue off of there right away. So we're just going to dab it a little bit. You guys can use paper towels too. If you are using a kitchen rag like I am, use a clean one with no grease on it. If you have grease on your rag, you are going to have to refix the blue, okay? It will make will make your patina very spotty. All right, so I've dabbed the majority of it off. It's getting kind of dry. All right. Wow. All right, so that's one coat. I kind of like that. That looks very interesting, just like that with one coat. So as you can see, we're already kind of customizing our knife here. Isn't that great? All right, so let's go ahead and let's hit our second coat. I'm gonna put a brief intermission here. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start hitting it up with our second coat now. I didn't have to go through and re-degrease or anything. And if you guys want, you know, if this is going to be a one-time use thing, you're not doing a bunch of knives at once, you know, pour it in a piece of Tupperware, you know, like I've got here below me. And you can, if you have a nice wide flat one, you can just kind of dip it in there, right? All right, now I'm going to go over the top. I want to make sure I get the top of it. That way it's nice and uniform. All right. I know I'm talking a lot. I'm not even following my own instructions by saying 15 seconds at a time, but that's okay. You know, you're not going to mess nothing up. You can always come back and do another coat, all right? All right, we're going to leave it on for a few more minutes here. A few more seconds, excuse me. Just letting it soak in. All right, let's give it a quick dip. Now, somebody in the comments can tell us why that we're not supposed to leave it on for more than 15 seconds, all right? Maybe you have a different type of blue. Maybe it tells you a different type of instructions, but that's what mine says. Put it on for 15 seconds, wash it off, do another coat. All right, so I'm trying to use a cleaner part of the rag here just for demonstration purposes. All right, so if I grab the blade and I start wiping it, you're gonna see like a little bit of material in there, okay? So I grab a cleaner part. Sorry, I know. Asking Gus Wolf to grab a clean rag in his house is like asking, I don't know, your 5-year-old to explain how math works. So I like the dab method myself. You know, I just think that you don't have to do as many coats when you do it like that. Is how I feel. I mean, it's not gonna hurt, right? Because we're all gonna be redoing it. So in my opinion, the big thing when you're dragging your towel is it seems to create drag marks in the bluing of the blade. At least I feel like that it does, okay? Now we're gonna go ahead and apply another coat, third coat. So I was, this one's a little bit different. This is super blue. This is a little bit different than what came in my other pack. This one is actually telling me to wait 30 seconds. And I'm guessing that's why it's a little bit more gray than black like the last one that I did. So if you have super blue, and I'm not a chemical engineer or nothing, and I don't do this often, I've just done it a couple of times, but you know, just know that you can leave it on there for 30 seconds to let that sit in. Now, I'm kind of doing this more a little bit for function. So you might actually be able to do a nice blue, right? If you're sanding, or not sanding, but excuse me, using a steel wool between each of the steps. If you're using a steel wool and you're kind of polishing it between each of them, you might get maybe a little bit better results than I might get. But I'm just going to kind of keep doing coats on it myself. Okay, so now we've taken the polished tracker knife, and as you can see, we're about done with the gun bluing. The blue will need to cure overnight, but we're going to go ahead, we're going to dry off this handle, and we're going to make this handle a little bit more enjoyable for the woods. We're going to wrap some good grip tape around it, and what I have here is just a little bit of grip tape. This is something you can find at Home Depot. You can find it at Ace Hardware, and we're going to do small little sections, and all this is going to do is create a nice, comfortable grip, so when you're working with it in the woods and you're sweating a lot, it's not going to fly out of your hand as easily. All right, so let's pick a couple pieces of our handle that we're going to do. Now guys, this grip tape does not stick to itself at all. All right, so I'm right at 3.5 on this spot. We're going to do a trial run to make sure it fits properly on the piece that we want it to go on. All right, now if there's a little slit at the top or the bottom, that's not a big deal. If you put it on the bottom, obviously it'll be a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. All right, so I'm going to choose to align mine here on the straight edge. Now I'm using this one, a full wrap method. Now I don't have hollow pins here. So I've got these narrow little pins. So I can't wrap this like I normally would my others. All right, I'm gonna have a little bit of an overlap on this one spot. So I'm just gonna trim that. Still just a little bit of overlap. I don't mind a gap because I already know how it works. All right. You just don't want to leave any loose corners. There you go. So now when you're grabbing it at the bottom there, it won't be trying to slide out your hand with that little grip. I know it's simple. It doesn't do a lot, all right? But believe it or not, that's really, really handy. So I'm determining how I want to do the piece up here. As you guys can see on mine, I can choke up on it on the Amazon tracker. I think this one's out of production, but I'll still put a link to it in case they ever bring it back. And I can also, because mine has that curved handle, I can choke down here, okay? So I think on the Warivo, what I'm gonna do is, looking at the grip of it, I think I'm gonna try to run a piece along the back, or maybe one right here in this narrow spot. When it gets narrow, guys, you may have to trim this grip tape right here up a little bit, because if you don't, then it'll get all bunchy like that, and you'll see it right here. It'll kind of get all crunchy, and then it won't stick good. So guys, I want to say two things real quick. One, when you go to put your grip tape on, try to get it right the first time, okay? it loses the adhesive factor very, very quickly. All right. So we're going to try to bang it out in one go. And I'm purposely leaving a crack here on this one because I want the tape to mold to the handle as best as I can. And you might get a wrinkle or two, and that's okay. All right. The second thing I'd like to say is try to use your grip tape sparingly. If you have leather, it's going to wear. This stuff is like sandpaper, so it's going to wear on here. So if you've got an entire handle of this and you're sticking it in and out of your sheath, like on this one, it's going to wear big time right here, okay? But there you have it. Simple, effective. It's not going to fly out your hand now. It's blued. The bluing does not make it rust-free, okay? It's kind of just a look. But if you do want a rust-free or more rust-free-ish, I guess you could put a patina on there, which you can use with mustard or apple cider vinegar. Again, this is just a little bit of me customizing the knife, making it look a little bit different. I really appreciate how a knife looks as you get it worn down, okay? I love all the imperfections that show in the bluing as you use a knife, man. That just looks so cool to me, and that's why I do it. If you have a wooden handle, you can get yourself a Harbor Freight wood burner for $5 and do some stuff like that. And again, if you've got hollow rivets, you can wrap snare wire around it. There's a million different things that you can do to customize your knives, guys. Let me know in the comments what y'all like to do, and I hope y'all enjoyed this simple video, and I hope y'all might have learned something. All right, thank you, brothers. So, brothers, just a real simple video. What I like about bluing it is I really love the imperfections that show as you use the knife. I think it just looks cool. It makes me proud to like show this knife, like, yeah, look what I do with it. Look how much I work with it, blah, 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 you know? And again, if you have a wooden handle, you can do a little bit more with it. You can get like a Harbor Freight wood burner to kind of burn some stuff. If you have hollow rivets, you can wrap snare wire or 550 cord around there. But just to kind of show you guys, you know, a little bit of the transition. I really love the grip tape, especially if you're working around wet stuff. It just kind of really keeps that blade from flying out of your hand. And I do love the bluing look, okay? It's not a rust preventative. It still will rust. If you want more of a rust preventative, I can do a video on a patina. There's a lot of videos out there. It's really easy to do. You simply put mustard on there. You can put apple cider vinegar, and you can do all kinds of crazy different designs. But I kind of like just the rustic grayish look of the gun blue on certain blades. All right. Thank you, guys. Hope you all enjoyed the video. And also, make sure you wash your hands because that stuff is super poisonous. Don't get it in your eyes. Don't lick it. Don't drink it.